How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, January 21st, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances that took place yesterday on Thursday, January 20th. Taking a step back and taking a look at where we are at the top of the 2022 calendar year. Right now, the college basketball season is underway as teams are entering their conference schedules. The NFL is down to 8 teams as we are at the divisional round of the playoff stage, as the very first matchups will take place tomorrow. And I'll also have a preview tomorrow as well. The NBA is in the second half of the season as they are still in the midst of all-star voting. And of course, in the soccer seasons, we are in the second half of most seasons. Some domestic cups are almost over with. And not to mention that the African Cup of Nations is now down to 16 teams. And now we can get prepared for a round of 16 that starts on Sunday. Starting out with college basketball, looking at the top-ranked team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs hosted the unranked San Francisco Dons. Gonzaga would beat San Francisco 78-62 after outscoring the Dons by 13 in the second half. The top-ranked Bulldogs would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Drew Timme. Timme finished with 23 points in 29 minutes. He shot 9 for 20 from the field and 5 for 7 from the foul line. Their starting center, Chet Holmgren, finished with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 7 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, the top-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs are now 15-2. They are now 4-0 in the West Coast Conference. They remain the lone team that's undefeated in conference play. With this loss, the unranked San Francisco Dons are now 15-4. They are now 2-2 within their conference. Taking a look at the third-ranked team in the nation, the Arizona Wildcats would go to Palo Alto, face off against the unranked Stanford Cardinal. Arizona would beat Stanford 85-57 after outscoring the Cardinal by 11 in the first half and by 17 in the second. On the winning end of this matchup, the Arizona Wildcats will be led in scoring by their center off the bench, Umar Ballo, out of Mali. He will go on to finish with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 22 minutes. He shot 7 for 8 from the field and 7 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the third-ranked Arizona Wildcats are 15-1. They are 5-0 in the Pac-12. They are the lone remaining undefeated team in conference play. With this loss, unranked Stanford is 10-6. They are now 3-3 in the Pac-12. Looking at the fourth-ranked team in the nation, the Purdue Boilermakers would go to Bloomington to face off against the unranked Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana would end up beating Purdue 68-65. They won this matchup by 3 after outscoring Purdue by 9 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the fourth-ranked Purdue Boilermakers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Jaden Ivey. Ivey will go on to finish with 21 points in 32 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field and 5 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Indiana Hoosiers were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Rob Finney, out of Lafayette, Indiana. He will go on to finish with 20 points and 4 steals in 26 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field and 4 for 7 from 3. With this win, the unranked Indiana Hoosiers are now 14-4. They are now 5-3 in the Big Ten. With this loss, the fourth-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are now 15-3. They are now 4-3 in the Big Ten for the time being. Looking at the ninth-ranked team in the nation, the UCLA Bruins would go to Salt Lake City to face off against the unranked Utah Utes. UCLA would beat Utah 63-58. They won this matchup by 5 after outscoring Utah by 6 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the ninth-ranked UCLA Bruins would be led in scoring by their starting guard out of Los Angeles, Johnny Juzang. Juzang finished with 28 points in 38 minutes as he shot 9 for 13 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the ninth-ranked UCLA Bruins are now 12-2. They are 4-1 in the Pac-12. With this loss, the unranked Utah Utes are now 8-11. They are now 1-8 in the conference. They currently hold the worst record in the Pac-12. Taking a look at what's going on with the 16th ranked team in the nation, looking at the other ranked LA team, the USC Trojans would go to Colorado, to Boulder specifically, to face off against the unranked Buffalo Buffaloes. The USC Trojans would beat the Buffaloes 61-58 after outscoring Colorado by 3 in the second half to win the game by 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the 16th ranked Trojans were led in scoring by their starting forward, Chavez Goodwin, out of Columbia, South Carolina. Goodwin finished with 14 points, 18 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 17 from the field and 2 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the 16th ranked USC Trojans are now 15-2. They are 5-2 in the Pac-12 for the time being. With this loss, the unranked Colorado Buffaloes are now 12-5. They are 4-3 in the Pac-12. And taking a look at the 21st ranked team in the nation, the Providence Friars would host the unranked Georgetown Hoyas. Providence would beat Georgetown 83-75. They won this matchup by 8 after outscoring Georgetown by 5 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, Providence would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Al Durham, out of Lilburn, Georgia. He will go on to finish with 15 points in 38 minutes. He shot 3 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Their forward off the bench, Ed Croswell out of Philly, will go on to finish with 15 points and 3 blocks in 17 minutes. He shot a perfect 7 for 7 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the 21st ranked Providence Friars are now 15-2. They are now 5-1 in the Big East as they currently hold the best record in the conference. With this loss, the unranked Georgetown Hoyas are 6-9. They are now 0-4 in the conference. They are the only team in the Big East that has yet to win a game in the conference. Last but not least, looking at the 25th ranked team in the nation within the Big East, the UConn Huskies would go to Indianapolis to face off against the unranked Butler Bulldogs. UConn would beat Butler 75-56 after outscoring Butler by 23 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 25th ranked UConn Huskies would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Tyrese Martin, out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. He finished with 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 11 for 17 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt on the night. With this win, the 25th ranked UConn Huskies are now 13-4, and they are now 4-2 in the Big East. With this loss, the unranked Butler Bulldogs are 9-9. They are officially 2-5 in the conference for the time being. That's everything from yesterday. Looking at the 2 ranked matchups that are going on today. At 7 o'clock on FS1, the unranked Maryland Terrapins are going to host the 17th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini in College Park. Illinois enters this matchup with a 6-1 record in the Big Ten. And then at 9 o'clock, both teams are going to be ranked as the 8th ranked Wisconsin Badgers host the 14th ranked Michigan State Spartans. This is going to be on FS1. This is going to be in Madison, Wisconsin. Wisconsin enters this matchup with a 6-1 record in the Big Ten. Michigan State is 5-1 in the Big Ten. Taking a look now at what's going on in the NBA, there were 3 matchups that took place. Starting off in Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks hosted the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans would beat the Knicks 102-91. They would win this matchup by 11 after they outscored the Knicks by 10 in the first quarter and by 20 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown New York Knicks would be led in scoring by their starting center, Mitchell Robinson, and their starting shooting guard out of Duke, RJ Barrett. Robinson finished with 17 points and 15 rebounds in 30 minutes. He shot 6 for 7 from the field. RJ Barrett finished with 17 points and 7 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 5 for 10 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting center, Jonas Valanciunas. Valanciunas finished with 18 points and 10 rebounds, as well as 2 blocks in 33 minutes. He shot 8 for 11 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Brandon Ingram, finished with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 27 minutes. He shot 4 for 10 from the field. He made his only 3-pointer of the day, and he shot 6 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 17-28. That is the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference, tied with the San Antonio Spurs. They have now won 4 of their last 10 games. They now sit 5 games behind the 8th seed Los Angeles Lakers out west. With this loss, the New York Knicks are now 22-24. That is the 5th worst record out east. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They sit a game and a half behind the 8th seed Washington Wizards out east. Taking a look at what went down in Dallas, Texas, the Mavericks hosted the Phoenix Suns, the reigning Western Conference champs. The Suns would end up beating the Mavericks 109-101. They would win this matchup by 8 after they outscored the Mavericks by 16 points in the fourth quarter to overcome their 8-point deficit. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Mavericks would be led in scoring by their elite starting point guard Luka Doncic out of Slovenia. He finished with 28 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 8 turnovers in 38 minutes. Doncic shot 9 for 23 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3, and he shot 8 for 11 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Phoenix Suns would be led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Devin Booker. Booker would finish with 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 25 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard, Chris Paul, finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. CP3 shot 8 for 14 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are now 35-9. That is still the best record in the West Conference and the NBA, as they still remain the lone team in the NBA with a single-digit amount of losses. They've won their last 5 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. They sit 3.5 games ahead of the second-place Golden State Warriors out west. With this loss, the Dallas Mavericks are now 26-20. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference. They've only lost 2 of their last 10 games. They sit 10 games behind the first seed Phoenix Suns out west. Last but not least, jumping out to San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors hosted the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers would beat the Warriors 121-117. When the game went to overtime, the Pacers would outscore the Warriors 11-7. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Golden State Warriors would be led in scoring by their goated starting point guard out of Davidson College, Stephen Curry. Curry finished with 39 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 44 minutes. He shot 12 for 27 from the field, 6 for 16 from 3, and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Indiana Pacers would be led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Chris Duarte. Duarte finished with 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 10 for 16 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he shot a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Indiana Pacers are now 17-29. That is the 3rd worst record in the Eastern Conference, as they've won their last 2 games. They've won 3 of their last 10. They sit 6.5 games behind the 8th seed Washington Wizards. With this loss, the Golden State Warriors are now 32-13. That is the 2nd best record in the Western Conference. They have now lost 6 of their last 10 games, and they sit 3.5 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns for the time being. Those are yesterday's 3 games, and taking a quick look at what's going on today on Friday, starting with the primetime matchups. It looks as though the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks are going to host the Eastern Conference leaders Chicago Bulls on ESPN and Pfizer V Forum. And also that's going to be the only primetime matchup for today. Looking at the games that aren't on primetime at 7 o'clock, the Charlotte Hornets are going to host the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Spectrum Center. The Orlando Magic are going to host the Los Angeles Lakers at Amway, as the Magic hold the worst record in the NBA. They are the lone team in the NBA with a single-digit amount of wins still. They have 8 of them. At the same time, at 7, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to host the Los Angeles Clippers at the Wells Fargo Center. At 7:30, the Atlanta Hawks are going to host the Miami Heat in the State Farm Arena. At 7:30, the Boston Celtics are going to host the Trailblazers at TD Garden in Boston. At 8 o'clock, the Washington Wizards are going to host the Toronto Raptors in the Capital One Arena. And looking back at the Bucks and the Bulls, the Bucks come into this matchup holding the 4th best record as they sit 2 games behind the Bulls. Continuing on, at 8:30, the San Antonio Spurs are going to host the Brooklyn Nets at the AT&T Center in San Antonio. At 9 o'clock, the Denver Nuggets are going to host the Memphis Grizzlies at the Ball Arena in Denver. And at the same time, the Utah Jazz are going to host the Detroit Pistons at the Vivint Arena as well. At 10 o'clock, the Golden State Warriors are going to host the Houston Rockets at the Chase Center, as the Rockets are right now holding the second best record in the NBA for the time being. Last but not least, taking you into the world of soccer, leaving the American continent to give you a sense of what's going on overseas. And, of course, starting with the African Cup of Nations, the group stage round is officially over, as the round of 16 will officially pick up on Sunday. But looking into the matchups that, of course, would end the Group E and Group F matchups. Starting off with Group E, Ivory Coast would win the table after they ended up beating Algeria 3-1. Frank Kessie would score their first goal in the 22nd minute. Ibrahim Sangare would put them up 2-0 before they went to the half. Nicolas Pepe would score in the 54th minute to put them up 3-0 before Algeria scored its lone goal from Bendekka in the 73rd minute. Following this win, Ivory Coast was able to make it, as Algeria finished with 1 point at the bottom of the group, so they will not advance. Sierra Leone would face off against Equatorial Guinea, and Equatorial Guinea would beat Sierra Leone 1-0, as its lone goal came in the 38th minute thanks to Pablo Ganet. So, of course, with the way this table went, Equatorial Guinea would be the team that would advance past the Cup of Nations. And looking at how the matchups are sitting, Ivory Coast's next matchup will be against Egypt on Wednesday, and Equatorial Guinea will face off against Mali on Wednesday as well. But, of course, looking at the matchups from Group F, the team that finished on top of Group F would be Mali, after Mali was able to beat Mauritania 2-0. Its first goal will come from Masadio Haidara in the second minute, and then their penalty kick goal will come from Ibrahima Kone in the 49th minute. And with this win, Mali will advance to the next round, where they will face off against Equatorial Guinea on Wednesday in the round of 16. And then sitting second was Gambia, as they finished with 7 points as well. They were able to beat Tunisia 1-0. Tunisia drew a red card at the very end of the first half, so they were playing with 10 men the entire second half, giving Gambia the opportunity to score in the 93rd minute off a goal from Abdoulaye Diallo. This is a very big win for Gambia, and of course, with this win, they will face off against Guinea in the round of 16 on Monday. And with this loss, Tunisia will still advance to the round of 16. Their first matchup is going to be against Nigeria on Sunday at 2. Just to give a sense of how the African Cup of Nations is sitting now that all those group stage matches are over. And of course, I'm going to give a preview once we get to Sunday. Taking a look at what went down outside of the Cup of Nations, Liverpool was able to hold it down without Sadio Mane or Mo Salah. They beat Arsenal in the second leg of the English Carabao Cup semifinals, so they will advance to the final to play against Chelsea. Both their goals will come from their young Portuguese forward Diogo Jota. He scored in the 19th and the 77th minute. Taking a look at what went down in the Spanish Copa del Rey in the round of 16 matchups, Real Madrid would go to Elche and pull off a 2-1 win in extra time. They went into extra time with not a goal being scored. Elche would open up the scoring in the 103rd minute from Gonzalo Verdu, after Marcelo would get taken off of a red card. And while Real Madrid was down a player, they would end up tying the game in the 108th minute with a goal from Isco. And then they would score another goal in the 115th minute from their Belgian forward, Eden Hazard. And after Elche picked up their red card in the 122nd minute, Real Madrid would barely sneak through into the quarterfinal round of the Copa del Rey. Looking at the other matchup, Barcelona didn't fare so well. They faced off against Athletic Bilbao. Athletic Bilbao would open up the scoring in the second minute with a goal from Iker Muniain, and they would go up 1-0. Barcelona would tie it up in the 20th minute from Ferran Torres, their newest acquisition from Manchester City. And they would end up Athletic Bilbao would take the lead in the 86th minute with a goal from Inigo Martinez to make it 2-1. Pedri would end up scoring for Barca in the 93rd minute to save them, their elite young Spanish midfielder, to send it into extra time. And then Athletic Bilbao would win the game in extra time off of a 106th minute goal, off a penalty kick goal from Iker Muniain to make it 2 goals for him for the day. And Athletic Bilbao will be the team out of this matchup to advance to the quarterfinal round in the Spanish Copa del Rey. And then looking at the lone Italian Coppa Italia match, AS Roma hosted Lecce, and AS Roma was able to pull off the 3-1 win to make it to the round of 8, as their goals came from Mirash Kambula, Tammy Abraham, and Eldor Shomurodov after Lecce scored its lone goal in the 14th minute. So that's everything that happened yesterday. Taking a look at what's going on today as we enter yet another weekend of football. There's not much going on. The biggest matchup going on is Lyonnais versus Saint-Étienne. And looking at where Lyonnais sits in the French standings, they are right now sitting 11th in the table. And Saint-Étienne, their opponent, is sitting at the very bottom of the group. But that's everything that I have for you today. And with that said, I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NFL, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the stats and figures that I needed for this episode. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Saturday, January 22nd, on 2022, of course, for another episode of this piece. And with that said, I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my piece. Peace out.